Still a work in progress at the moment, but from here I'll be sharing my process and resources for sculpting Stephen Oakley's Goliath, designed for the game Evolve. When working on a new project, if I'm working from a concept, I like to set up reference and ZBrush. I normally have reference behind, and also in ZBrush I like to use see-through. So up here. The ZBrush allows you to save your camera angle, so you can snap it to positions that you saved it at. So clicking for my hotkeys 3 and 4, this is where I saved my positions. And to set this up under document, if you need to delete all your camera, just clear all. Moving to where you would like to save it. Then under document, ZBrush properties, I normally click on custom 1. And for the second one, I put it on custom 2. I've also set hotkeys for these, holding down Control Alt and left clicking. Reading top left, press any key combination to assign custom hotkey. I set this as 3, and custom 2, I set it as 4. So now pressing my hotkeys, it's able to go back and forth from where I saved it at. So if you ever want to check out the note process for my workflow, I put it on my bat creature on ArtStation, and it should be the second page right here. And to break down the whole process, I use mesh balloon. If you hold down Control and then go to your brush, by default you're on masking. You can change it to mesh balloon right here, and you click and drag from inside the form. You can create the balloon, holding down Control, and it creates shapes like this. And knowing some anatomy and knowing where to put your shapes and form, you can put it where the muscles origin and insert, so where it starts and where it ends. And then from there you can slowly build your form one at a time. Let's say you want to add some muscle groups around here. Holding down Control, having mesh balloon on. Afterward, I would just rotate it. Sometimes I like to use inflate. And the rest is just a lot of moving in proper position. Another one. When you use Mesh Balloon, it'll mask everything else. And it'll allow you to move just that floating object alone and isolate everything else through mask. But let's say you're here, but you want to readjust some other forms. One way is using move topology. So BMG. Another way is selecting a small piece of it and then Control Shift A. And then from here, I would mask it. Show all, invert mask. And just like this, you can select more of a group and move it as a group with move rather than individuals with move topology. You can see that's moving everything. If you use move topology, you're going to notice that it's just moving one form at a time. And the reason is every time you create with Mesh Balloon, it's just considered floating topology. Oh, and also on the right side here, you can see that I'm using Grissetti's Écorché. And let me clear the screen to show you guys. To set up split screen, it's under Transform. Split screen. Split screen at 1 allows you to work on the right side, while split screen at 3 allows you to work on the left side. I normally work with split screen 1. And how split screen work is as you rotate and you work on your model, the reference also rotates. To grab Raf's Écorché, you can just Google it and you'll find this link. And it'll link you to characterartworkshop.com right here. And you can just grab it right here. You're going to notice that it comes in 7 different parts, and also it's a STL file. And for the STL part, to import it, under ZBrush, Z plugin, 3D print hub, and you can import STL right here. Another thing to note is his Écorché, you're going to notice half of it is different than the other half, depending which half you want to use. For me personally, I just mirrored and weld. So using geometry, modify topology, and then mirror and weld, you can flip it however you want and then just mirror and weld and it'll be on the other side. Everything I do here for my blockout, they're all in one subtool. And the reason why is because I just like using Mesh Balloon and also split screen with another reference. Again, I'm using Raphael Grissetti's Écorché. You can find other 3D models, anatomy packs, or even scan data, or whatever reference you want to use, and then just put on the side and use as reference in like traditional or 2D or painters. What they do is they look at reference like this, but for us, we're able to even use like 3D scan data and whatever we can grab online as reference source. So from here, what you can do is start dynameshing everything together and then smoothing out your topology. So right here, you could just see that the majority of my forms from my blockout process on the left side and my dynamesh form on the right side here. You can see a lot of the forms are quite the same or similar, and that's because I just dynamesh and then smooth it out with clay buildup or clay tube, which hits the cavities first. And zooming in, you can see the strokes right here. So it's very light amount of formatting. So right here, you're going to see me mess with clay buildup. And normally I like to adjust my stroke. So by default, you can see the spacing on this. So under stroke, modifier, roll distance, if you just max that out to 10, it's like it's like Photoshop brush spacing. So now you can see that the brush is a lot smoother. And I would normally smooth out my form with a lot lower in Z intensity. A little bit stronger than that. And also I turn off lazy mouse with hotkey L. So let's say around here where you haven't seen me smooth it with clay buildup or clay tubes yet. And then just running a smoothing after. That's pretty much it for my workflow. The rest is just looking more of reference of anatomy, 2D reference or 3D reference using split screen, whatever I can find. But mostly trying to capture the essence of the concept. One of the question was how come I didn't add the spikes compared to the concept? And for me, it's due to I want to work on the anatomy first before I add in the exterior or outer details. So I want to make my anatomy make sense before. So the reason why I added spikes here is just because like it's like, oh, it's just fingers and knuckles. I can just add in spikes right there. But as for the spikes in the back, I just want to make my anatomy work before I add in those forms. Anything else? Oh, and also you mentioned everything's on a different subtool. I start splitting them so it's a lot easier. So let's say if I dynamesh this, the head and the body as a whole, what happens is the head has the same amount of resolution as the rest of the body. And doing so, while sculpting the head, you're going to have less resolution to mess with. So right away, I split the head. And also, splitting the model will allow you to work on the crevices a lot easier. And at certain areas. So you check out the teeth right here. Like this sharp edge right here is really hard to pull off just using brushes. And if I need to adjust any of the forms, it'll be a lot tougher. But if it's split like this, I can easily just move it up and down and it won't affect the rest of the face. So right here, I'm just using a regular move. And if I need to reposition it anywhere, it's going to be a lot easier. And again, it's not affecting the rest of the forms around it. Oh yeah, another question for this guy is why paint the model on the early stage? The reason why you want to paint is just so you can separate your different materials or form or design a lot easier, so you can see the shapes a lot easier. So I believe for the original concept, he has soft muscles and form, and then also like a hard shell or harder, tougher surface. And also the color differences in the design, and once I start painting it, I can see the separation of the design a lot easier. So I can make better adjustments or just looking at the shapes a lot easier. So paint your character or concept as fast as you can, just so you can separate your material and design out. Any other question for this guy?